What is up? Today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to build your online business when you don't have any time, right? I feel like this is the number one struggle that most entrepreneurs face, is that we're just so darn busy. So today I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that I think that you need to know in order for you to leverage more time and get more out of what you put in. Hey everybody, and welcome to Optimal Achiever. My name is Mike, and today we're going to talk about how to build your online business when you have no time, right? That's the thing that's slowing us down, right? Is this time thing, or things aren't progressing fast enough, right? So we're trying to get our business going, but it just feels like it's taking too much time. So I want to talk to you today about 5 ideas, 5 concepts that I want you to focus on so that this issue of time becomes irrelevant. Okay, so we don't spend too much time, focusing on the lack of time, and we focus more on what is going to help us maximize our time. Now, I have my notes right over here, and from the last YouTube video that I made, I talked about imperfect, consistent execution. Imperfect, consistent execution, meaning it doesn't have to be perfect. So my main concern is always like, how do I want to make sure this video comes out great, right? But today I'm saying, you know what? I'm just going to deliver the value that I want to deliver. So I wrote down my notes, and until I don't get the hang of this thing, I'm not just going to be talking to the camera all the way through. I'm going to be looking at my notes. If that's okay with you, let's move forward. Okay, number 1, understand the law of exponential results. Okay, what does this mean? This means that basically, as you continue to do something, the return or the rate of return starts to increase with more time. Okay, so if I do something now that earns me $1, maybe in a year that same activity will earn me $10, and in a year from now it will earn me 100 and then 1,000. Right? There's an exponential return. There's a curve, an exponential curve, that I start to get more return for that investment. And I think a lot of times what happens is that when we are working our business, we start to get discouraged when we don't see the results happening fast enough. So what happens is that we get this little thing called shiny object syndrome, and we see something beautiful over here that seems like, oh, that's the opportunity that's probably going to work better because this one's not working, and then we jump ship. And when we jump ship, right, and we leave the other opportunity, we have to start that exponential curve from the very beginning because we're starting something new. And that other thing that we were doing success could have been right around the corner, right? So we are too quick to jump ship right into a new endeavor without giving this, its due diligence, right? Without giving it enough time. The more time we invest in something, the more it's going to give us return, right? It's kind of like if you were a farmer and you planted seeds, right? And you water them, and then all of a sudden they didn't sprout, you didn't get your harvest, so you just left that soil. You just left your farm, right? And you went to another one. Hey, this farm's not working. And it just doesn't work like that, right? You got to invest your time. So sometimes when we think about, the results that we're getting from our return, if it's not happening fast enough, we start to get discouraged. And I get it. We all go through it. But just understand the law of exponential returns. If you stick with it, if you stay committed, I promise you that's going to give you more return in the long run than if you just keep on. I've done this many times. I switch gears, right? I start something, it doesn't work out, and then I stop again. And then I look at other people that stuck with something for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And now they have a successful business or a successful YouTube channel or a successful podcast because they stuck with it. Because they stuck with it enough to see those exponential returns. So that's number 1, the law of exponential returns. The second one is to understand the law of transferability, okay? So what does this mean? This means that, let's say I decide I want to do this, A, B, and Z, right? Or let me get a little bit more specific. Let's say I wanted to learn how to grow a YouTube channel, grow an Instagram account, and grow a Facebook following, right? So what happens is that, let's say you were trying to just focus on one and you wanted to grow that. It might take you, let's say, a year, 2 years, I don't know. Let's say it takes you a full year to grow that, right? And then, but On another situation, maybe I decided to grow the Instagram account, right? And that might take a year to grow. Or on another occasion, maybe I tried to just grow the Facebook following, right? And that might take me a year. So if you look at it from that perspective, you might say like, man, it's gonna take me 3 years to grow these 3 channels, right? It's gonna take me 3 years to grow my YouTube, my Instagram, and my Facebook following, right? So you try to dabble into all of them. And what happens is that slows down your results, because again, the exponential results, you wanna focus in and feed, your engine. You wanna feed a machine to make it grow. And when you're dabbling in each, it's just gonna slow down the progress you make on each individual one. So in your mind, you're thinking like, man, I want to grow all these 3, but it's going to take me too long. But just understand this: if you are to grow a YouTube channel in a year's worth, to move on to the next thing, like an Instagram channel, it's not going to take you a year to grow the Instagram channel, because you have the law of transferability. Now you have a platform where you can say, hey guys, follow me on Instagram. And because you already have a good following on YouTube, you can transfer some of those people over. You can easily get some people to come over because you've taken the time to build something on this end. And then if you build your YouTube channel and your Instagram account, well, it's going to be easier for you to grow your Facebook following, because again, you can use these platforms to leverage them so that you can grow your Facebook following. Now, how does this apply to business and in life? Well, sometimes we don't know where to start, right? We're like, well, should I write a book? Should I do a course? Should I focus my energy in this or that or this? And sometimes, and even in life in general, should I lose weight? Should I focus on making money? Should I focus on this? And what happens is that we spend too much time focusing on too many things, and that causes overwhelm. It doesn't give us our best effort, right? Because we're trying to juggle too many balls. We have too many things on our plate. So the whole idea of this law of transferability is that don't worry about which one you do first, right? Like I get you want to do 2 or 3 things, and you want to master 2 or 3 things, and you want to lose weight, but you also want to build a business. But just understand that if you focus on one, it's not going to take you the same amount of time it would have normally taken if you would have started the other one, because now you have something to leverage, right? If I focus on making money, right, then what happens is that once I learn how to make some extra money, I can use that money to hire a training coach. I can use that money to buy prepared meals. I can use that money to buy healthier foods. So it's gonna make my fitness journey a lot shorter, right? I'm able to transfer over something that I've worked hard for and leverage that towards something else. And vice versa, if I focus on getting in shape, well, that's gonna give me more energy, right? That's gonna give me more clarity. That's gonna put me in a better mood, so that when I operate on my business, I would operate from a better state, right? From a better mental state, more clear, have more energy. So I'm gonna be way more productive in my business. So it's not gonna take me as long to build a business as it would have if I would have started from scratch. So the idea from the law of transferability is that you just want to focus on one thing. Just choose and move forward with one thing, and don't worry about the other things, because there's going to come a point where you can transfer some of that you've leveraged, or you're going to be able to transfer some of those results, what you've built, onto other things. And I think this just helps you move quicker, because a lot of times we want to make the best decision of what to do next, right? I want to make sure that I choose the best possible, decision I can make on what activity to do next. And don't worry too much about it. Just pick something, get started with it. And with that, you're going to be able to leverage whatever you've built. If you use the law of exponential results, right, to build it, get it to a great point that you can use and leverage that towards something else, to build something else, right? But I think one of the main themes here is to focus, right? Focus on one thing. If you know you're going to be able to transfer some of the results that you've created, then focus all your energy into one thing, build it with exponential results, and then use that to leverage it, to transfer it to something else. Okay, number 3, understand the who and not the how. This one is, I learned this one from taking the One Funnel Away Challenge. Some of you might know what it is, some of you might not, but it's held by Russell Brunson, which I find to be a very brilliant marketer. And I learned it from him and his team. And the idea behind the who and not the how is that a lot of times we focus on how to do things when we shouldn't be spending the time and energy to learn how to do things. So for example, if I wanted to lose weight, right? If I wanted to get in shape, right? Let's say I didn't know how to build muscle, or I didn't know how to lose weight, and those were my goals. So a lot of times we have a goal, we have a vision, and we know where we want to get to, and we're motivated and we're ready to rock and roll. And as we're going, we're trying to, and we don't know something about how to get that goal, or how to accomplish that goal. So we say, well, how do you diet for this? How do you diet to build muscle? How do you diet to lose weight? And then as you start shifting your focus to learning how to do that, you lose momentum, right? You lose steam, right? Because you're focused on your vision and you're moving towards your vision, but then it's like, oh, this pops up, which is like, well, how do I program my workout schedule? And then you start shifting over your energy into learning the how. And then what happens in the how is that it becomes very overwhelming at times, because you realize you got to learn about meal prepping, and you got to learn about calories in and calories out, and you got to learn about hypertrophy and different types of workouts. And there's so many things that you have to learn, and then you start to get a little bit discouraged. It starts to slow you down, and then you start to procrastinate, and then all of a sudden you don't achieve your goal, right? You completely stop. You've lost your momentum. And it's because you're focusing on the how, right? But instead, if I have a vision and I have a goal, I should look for the who. Who's the one that knows how to accomplish this, right? I can go to someone right away, and I can pay a trainer, I can pay a nutritionist, I can pay a coach to guide me, so that I don't lose any steam, so that I don't lose any momentum, right? This is very important. I need to look, that's how I work more efficiently, is by focusing on who is the person that knows how to do that, and so that I can leverage my time on just working at the straightest path for me to get to my goal, right? If they say, it's this, and this, then I'm gonna follow those directions because they have experience and they know what they're doing. This applies in business, massively in business. Like, let's say, for example, if you're trying to build an online course, right? And you don't know how to shoot videos. So guess what? Now you go on YouTube and you try to figure out, well, which camera do I buy, and how do I record, and how do I edit, and how do you work this? And again, that's going to take you off the track of your vision, right? That's gonna make you lose steam, lose momentum. Instead, what you need to do is you need to look at who can do that, right? Who can get that job done? Who is really good at what they're really good at, right? Who's really good at this thing that I need? And you gotta hire them. You gotta outsource it, right? Find a freelancer that can get that job done and invest in that, right? And you focus on what you're strong in. If you know how to make money a certain way, let's say you have a certain talent, then use your talent to make money so that you can pay the person that is talented at what they're talented at, right? So you're basically only working on your strengths. That's kind of the key thing here. You work on your strengths and you outsource what you're weak at, right? What's gonna stop you, what's gonna slow you down. If you're starting to ask yourself, well, how do I do that? Then I feel like that you're already starting to bring up a dialogue that is just not gonna be productive, because it's gonna take you on the wrong path. You're gonna start procrastinating, you're gonna lose momentum, you're gonna lose steam, right? So whenever you hear yourself saying, how do I do that? How do I get that done? Change that and say, who do I need to find that can do that? Who can do this? Who is good at this? Who is great at this? And either bring them on your team, barter services, right? If you're good at, like, let's say, for example, I might be good at video production, graphic design, creating logos and stuff like that. I might team up with someone that's good with copywriting, right? They're really good with persuasive sales copy, right? And so I might team up with them and I'll help them with some of the services that I can provide that I'm good at, and they can help me, so that they're getting high quality design work and I'm getting high quality copy. Because if I try to learn sales copy, I might be able to learn it, but I won't be as good as them. And by the time that I learn how to actually do it, it's gonna be too long, right? It's just, this game is all about momentum. It's all about execution. So you gotta focus on the who, not the how. Okay, number 4, understand the power in momentum. Okay, momentum is massive. Why? Because momentum creates leverage, right? It gives you, again, more return than what you put in, right? At least what you initially put in. Or you have to put, or just to keep things going, you could put a lot less energy than you did at the beginning. So to give you an example, like let's say a car, right? When a car's battery dies, or let's say if you've ever ran out of gas, and you have to push the car to the side of the road, or you want to help somebody push the car to the side of the road, the hardest part is always getting that car into motion, right? That's there's a thing called activation energy, and it just takes more energy to get that car into motion than it is to keep it in motion. Once it's moving along, it's a lot easier to push, right? So if we have things in motion, it makes more sense to keep it in motion to get more return from it, because we don't have to put as much energy as we did in the beginning. So it's more important to keep things going so that you can leverage momentum, right? Get more return than what you're putting in. Sometimes I notice when it comes to New Year's resolution, we make the mistake of, we make a big goal. We say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to make happen. And for some people, they go so hard, so fast, and they're not able to reach their goal. Why? Because they burn out. And what happens when you burn out? You stop. And when you stop, you have to start from scratch, right? You have to start from the beginning, and there's going to be more energy required, that activation energy, for you to get things going again. And doing this over and over again, this little yo-yo of start stopping, is going to tax you. It's going to take actually more time and energy to get things, to accomplish things, because you're stopping, right? I think it's Newton's law that says an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, right? It's easier to keep things going once they're going, and once things stop, they kind of stay, still. It's kind of hard to get things going again. So how do we leverage momentum? Well, I think the mistake that most people make is that when it comes to momentum, you got to find a good balance, okay? You got to get started. That's the first thing, right? You got to get things in motion. But once they're in motion, you got to keep them in motion, okay? So the mistake that most people make is that they try to do too much too soon. They try to go, they just do too much. They put too much on their plate, and they burn themselves out, right? So you got to find a balance, right? You got to get things started and keep things going. So the idea of how you leverage momentum is by keeping a sustainable pace. And as things pick up, just keep it going at that sustainable pace. Don't try to do too much too soon. But once it's going, that momentum is going to build and build and build and build, kind of like a snowball, the snowball effect, right? As the ball goes down the hill, it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you got to ride that wave of momentum to leverage your time. Why? Because you're going to be able to get more done in less time, which is going to give you more time to focus on other things, right? So we want to leverage momentum by keeping things at a sustainable pace. That's the most important thing. So when starting off, any goal that you want to accomplish, and in business, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to want to do. Always start small. Okay, because if let's say you want to start you want to do marketing, right? And so you want to do email marketing. You want to build your list, and you want to start an email sequence. You want to build your social media platform so you can start driving free traffic or organic traffic to your website. You want to do, let's say, paid ads, right? So there's all these things that you want to do, but if you try to do all of them at once, you're going to burn out, and again, you're going to stop, and again, it's going to take more activation energy to get it started again. So minimize it, right? Get it to something that you can sustain, a sustainable pace. So that might be like, hey, just try with doing one social media post a week, or and then move it to 2 a week, and then 3 a week, and then maybe once a day, and just start building up, but build the momentum at a sustainable pace. That is how you're going to leverage more than what you're putting in. And lastly, number 5 is you have to focus 100% on the asymmetries of life. Again, what is asymmetries? Asymmetries meaning that it's not symmetrical. They're not even on both sides, right? So you do something and that's going to give you a bigger return. So most of this stuff talks about that, is how do you leverage more from less, right? The law of exponential results, after a while, you're going to start getting more of a return, because it's like an investment, and it grows and it compounds, right? The law of transferability, once you get something going, once you build something, you're going to be able to leverage that towards the next thing, right? Understanding the who and not the how, right? You're going to be able to spend your time on what's going to give you the biggest return, which is your strengths and not your weaknesses. And you're going to outsource your weaknesses, right? Understanding the power of momentum, once you get things going, you're going to be able to keep it going with minimal effort, a lot less effort than you needed when you got started, right? So these are the asymmetries of life. Like, we got to focus on the things that are going to give us more than what we're putting in, right? And so, but there's activities that are going to give you a better return, right? Specific activities. So let's say you're trying to drive organic traffic from your social media platforms, right? Well, you're going to see that one social media platform is giving you a better return, right? If one social media platform is giving 80% of your traffic, then focus your energy in that, right? If you notice that one type of ad is producing more than the other ones, then focus on that, right? If you're looking at your products and you're seeing that one product is generating way more revenue than the rest, then focus on that. I mean, this stuff seems pretty obvious, but I feel like a lot of times we don't take, this might slip by. We don't take the time and effort to really analyze what we're doing and seeing what the return is. What is the return on investment, right? If you ever heard that the ROI, what is the ROI? ROI stands for return on investment. What is my return on investment? And you got to start testing these things. You got to start testing, everything that you're doing and seeing which is giving you more than what you're putting in. So that covers the 5 things. The main concept of leveraging your time, how do you build this business when you don't have enough time, is by start doing the things that are going to give you more in return for the time that you're investing in it, right? You got to get more back than what you're putting in, right? And that's how you start to make more time. And then eventually, as we build our businesses, right, as we start to create enough revenue, then this is going to open up our time. This is what we're after. I'm sure that one of the main reasons why you're growing an online business is so that you can have more time freedom to spend time with your family, to do the things that are meaningful for you, and so you can focus more on what you're passionate about, which is serving people. So I hope you're able to take from today's lesson something that is going to help you, maybe switch gears, maybe focus your energy on something that you think is going to give you a better return, or maybe it's just going to give you a little bit more motivation and not feel so discouraged or impatient that things are not happening as fast as you want them to happen. So understand that things take time, but they grow, exponentially. So you just got to stick with it. All right, guys, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little notification bell so that you can be notified when a new video is up. I'm still trying to figure this thing out, trying to find my style, still trying to figure out how to efficiently produce these videos. But again, like I mentioned before, imperfect, consistent execution. I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to get it done and get it out there, and eventually I'll figure it out. And guys, remember, to leverage your time, you really got to stick with things. You really got to stay committed. Keep it at a sustainable pace, and little by little, it's going to grow exponentially. You're going to be able to transfer that platform, that thing that you've built, to other things. You're going to be able to leverage and get more out than what you put in, guys. So stick with it, stay committed, and you're going to see the results.